Bitfarms released their Q4 financial year 2023 results this morning, and it wasn't great, despite what you see up here on the front here, number 1 in Toronto Stock Exchange, and number 8 in the NASDAQ in terms of performance last year for Bitfarms, which we participated in if you were been here since early parts of this year. It was great, did really well. Let's take a look here. Let me scroll down a little bit. So they actually came in. Earnings today, it was negative. They had a almost 600% miss on their earnings, which wasn't great. They had a higher revenue by 7%, but the 600% surprise miss on their earnings per share, which caused the stock to tumble today. It went as low as, this is not the US version. Here we go. It went as low as $2.37 today. So that wasn't great. We did seem to base out though. The fact that the bottom here has a nice long wick on it, it's got me a little bit feeling not too bad. You notice how it's just crawling along the bottom of my descending channel here. I always love to see how that plays out until it either, and that kind of marks where it will or will not break, basically. Like if it gets past here, then it's a break, and then we're going to see further downside, maybe to $2. I don't know. We'll see though. Anyways, that's just showing their performance. There's a couple of things I wanted to highlight from their presentation for the earnings this morning. So one, they have 44% hash rate growth over the year. They paid down all their debt, so they are debt free as of February 2024. That is fantastic for a capital heavy company. That means that any sort of debt they take out now, if they choose to, will be it won't be adding to an existing pile. It would all be new debt. I'm not saying they're doing that, but it gives me, it puts them in a good position if they need to take debt for any reason. So that's great. And it also means that they don't have any of that expensive 5.5% plus debt that other companies might be getting saddled with. So that makes me feel pretty good about that. They purchased their miners that they announced that caused them to go up to like $3 some odd last year. They have purchased those miners. I believe they have actually received some of them last month as well. So going into this month and the month after, they'll be installing them and significantly increasing their hash rate, which is pretty amazing. They have a target to triple their hash rate, not just double, but triple to 21. They want to compete with Marathon with those kinds of numbers. I know Marathon wants to get to 50, but we'll see if they get there or not. They're definitely going to be competing with Riot at that at that level of hash rate. That's for sure. So that would be pretty amazing. All right. Let's see here. It's talking about how their miners that they bought and are upgrading with. This is showing how they are becoming the largest miner in Paraguay. They're getting a 3.9 cent per kilowatt hour price range out of that, and I'm assuming that's really good. I'd have to look into it. But otherwise, why are they highlighting it? Get their renewable energy. This is what I wanted to see. Their growth. So once they install the miners that they purchased and were delivered last month, they will have 12 exahash to get that done. They're going to be up to 12 here, very, very, very fast, almost doubling basically in a month, kind of like what CleanSpark had done. By the end of the year, they will be at 17 exahash with an option to go to 21. I can't see a scenario where they wouldn't want to exercise that option and go to 21, especially given how just competitive this space is going to be here very, very soon. This is going over their efficiency. That's about all I wanted to talk about there. Just their broad stuff there. So, what are we looking at here? Currently, this chart is bearish still. We are still bearish. Now, we completed this double top here. We got into this double top a few days ago on March 1st. That's the first candle confirming the double top because it was below the midline here, which was at 298. We came up, tapped it from beneath, basically did a retest of the underside of that double top and failed. That was all very bearish. This little grouping of candles right here, this is very indecisive. We got a doji, and a long wick doji here as well from today. And in post, we're down, so that's not good. What I am expecting here is something more like what we saw back here in January. where we see like this kind of like slow scoop up, like we're scooping up, maybe to the top of this ascending channel I got here, and then another scoop down before continuing on up again sometime after the halving. I think we're going to see a bit of a double bottom forming, some sort of thing, or a cup and handle forming sort of scenario here going into this. This momentum was really fast and hard. Now it's kind of consolidating at the bottom. Got to build some support here, get some little upward movement, do a retest of some support level slightly below it, and then a launch from there. That's what I want to see. Right now we are below the 50-day moving average. We need to get above it. It is currently at $2.74. We need to get above $2.74 to get bullish again. We have to. That's the only option. And we might be something like back here, right? Where we came up to the 50, paused on it, wrote it down, and then we got just slightly above it, and then the next day there was a break, and then off to the races. I am honestly looking for this sort of thing right here. Actually, that wasn't the 50, that was the 15, but this is the kind of thing I'm looking for on the 15 right now. Like I want to see price come up and above, sorry, the 50 at 274, and then I want to see a day after that with a gap up. And that gap up somewhat like was back here, that would be the indication that we're about to take off. That's what I want to see. If you notice, it happened back here too. Back here in November. Let's zoom in. We came up on the 200, wrote it down, went under the 50, then we came up, got above the 50, the 15, the 5, and the 200 all in one go, right? On a gap up, and then the next day we had another gap up, and that was the signal of we are flying high. I'm looking for some other sort of scenario like that in here. I want to see a gap up from these lower candles, and then follow through on the next day. So, I mean, if you were back here in February, at the beginning of February, right, even if you missed this first gap up day, there was a second day with a bit of a gap up. Heck, there was a third day where we went up big time, and even a fourth day where we had another gap up. Now, you would have caught very little on that, but you had 3-4 chances to get in on it before you were, completely lost from any gains whatsoever. Of course, getting in on the first one's always the best, but it's really hard to do that, especially when things have been low. And you see like a gap up over here. This was a complete fake out, right? We gapped up, and if you bought it that morning, you would have ended up gaining a little bit, going flat, even losing a little bit for 2 or 3 days before we saw the second gap up. So it can fake you out like that. Just like right here on January 26th, we had a gap up from 210, opened up at 216 and ran with it. I mean, I would have bought in on that. I probably did. I can't remember. And that's exactly the sort of thing I'm looking for. Sometimes it's a fake out, sometimes it's a fake out breakout. But other times you get a launch from 212 to, 360 or even $4. And that's the kind of thing I'm looking for. I want to see this come up above the 50 and give me a gap up. That's what I really want to see right now. What I really don't want to see is this yellow line coming and converging with this orange line here, which would be the 15 converging with the 50, which in my mind is telling me we're probably headed for the 200, which would be really bad. So I don't want to see that. But things aren't all bad. They got their new miners coming in. That's going to double their hash into the halving, meaning they can stay competitive. They're going to continue to expand that hash rate dramatically, meaning they will continue to get even more competitive. They did have bad earnings. Yes, they weren't earning money, but if they're going to increase their hash rate, increase their efficiency, they have zero debt, things do look up despite a short-term bearish chart. The fundamentals of the company. Now, in terms of overall price action on this, like ultimate price action, last time we were at an all-time high was like nearly $10, right? That was back in 2021, actually. That was like March or maybe December 2021 when we only had 190 million shares. Since then, we've gone up about 90 million shares almost here since then. We're at 273 million shares now when we were at 190 when things hit about $10. And what was the market cap back then? November 2021, it was $1.5 billion. So now we'd have to see about $3 billion to get it back up to $10. Just keep that in mind. So last time we only got a 1.5 billion market cap, we reached about $10. This time around, we're going to need much closer to 3 to hit that $10 mark, which does significantly reduce our upside. But if we are getting on a hash similar to like Marathon, let's go look at Marathon. And their current market cap is 5.8 billion. So I mean, it's not like it's impossible for a Bitcoin miner with about 20 exahash to get to a nearly $6 billion market cap. Marathon's doing it. They're not even keeping up 20 exahash operating all the time. They're closer to like 16 or something embarrassing like that. So if Bitfarms can get that 20 exahash, keep it running consistently, they could potentially compete with that type of market cap, and that would put them closer to like a $20 valuation given their shares outstanding. Now that is assuming they don't dilute further. If they dilute further, that will come down. Personally, I would probably look at a target somewhere closer to like 12 or 13 because I bet you they're probably going to dilute a little more. It's a lot easier than taking debt at 6%. Maybe if we get some rate cuts this year or early next year, they might take some debt instead of diluting us. But at this point, I'm looking at them probably diluting us more. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about um, especially these miner stocks, these Bitcoin miners, and you've got your ultimate all-time high price for the cycle needs to be fluid. You need to keep in mind shares outstanding versus market cap, and what type of market cap can you potentially expect from it? What has it done before? What has has their competitors achieved in the past with a similar hash rate and efficiency and all that? And I think in this case, in this scenario, if Bitfarms does get that hash rate online, it gets up to that 21 exahash. I think it's not impossible for them to hit 3 or even 4 or 5, potentially 6 billion in market cap this cycle if they can get that big. It's not a crazy valuation, considering especially considering you've got things like, let me find, Dogecoin has $22 billion market cap. Shiba Inu has an $18 billion market cap. These are other crypto related things right here. Like these are direct cryptos, right? 14, the top, let's see, the top 100 project. Let's look at a top 100 project. Okay, the 100 projects, all the top 100 projects are over $1 billion in value. And a lot of these are garbage that do nothing. Floki Inu, trash. $1.3 billion in market cap. Let's see, ApeCoin, it's just another meme, 1.3 billion. Where do we start seeing 3? Are there any like really good projects on 3? Kronos has got 4. Stellar Lumens, which is pretty slow, got Stellar Lumens that's been around since like 2017, does barely anything, has $4 billion in it. RenderCoin, some AI coin, $3.8 billion. So it's not super far-fetched that Bitfarms, a company that is a big contributor to the Bitcoin network, is increasing their hash rate to be competitive in their space, that is creating a product, could potentially have like a $6 billion market cap. That's not far-fetched. Now, it's not what they're at today. It's not going to be what they're at tomorrow. Might not even be at what they're at by the end of this year or maybe ever, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. Uh, Anyways, that kind of got a bit of a tangent there. So with that said, that's Bitfarms for the day. A couple of other miners were doing good. CleanSpark was a bit of a breakout. I'll talk about that one tomorrow, I think. And Mara was a little more disappointing today. Let's take a look at that actually real quick. Mara, we were down 3.63% today, so that wasn't super good. We are still down here under that double top area. CleanSpark actually though, CleanSpark took off today. We were up 7.5%. It's beautiful to see it. I think we might actually bounce here. We might bounce here, and we'll talk about that tomorrow because there's actually a reason that happened. And I need to dedicate a whole video to it. But with that said, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a profitable day.